Hi everyone, welcome back to For Real. So this is going to be a video in very quick succession after the last one that we published, and that was the one where we told you that we have moved from Siem Reap to Kampot. So we've been in Kampot for just over a week now, getting on for a week and a half, and there's some news things going on, so I thought we would return to normal programming and do a bit of a news update. But the difference is that this time we've got some footage of Kampot for you to look at while we talk about what's going on around the country. So Wednesday, Thursday and Friday next week are all public holidays, and they are the Khmer New Year public holidays. Last year those public holidays were moved and added on to Chomben, which is in September, but this year it has been decided that the public holidays will remain at their the days that they fall in April. And people could, or companies could choose to either let their employees have the time off then, or let them add it to some other public holidays later on in the year at a time that suited them. So this kind of ties into Jeremy and I moving to Kampot. We knew that we wanted to leave Siem Reap, and we knew that the situation up there was becoming untenable for us, just with Jeremy's health and the roads and the dust and everything. And we also knew that with the COVID situation creeping as it was from the February 20 outbreak, the numbers still increasing and things not looking like they were really under control, we were quite concerned that travel between provinces would be impossible, and there'd be a restriction there, and that would mean that we wouldn't be able to leave Siem Reap for a designated amount of time. So we travelled all the way to Kampot and there was no incident. But there's breaking news today. The government has just imposed interprovincial travel bans between all provinces to stem the spread of COVID-19. And these bans are going to be in place from tomorrow, which is the 7th of April, until the 20th of April. And of course, as you know, that includes the Khmer New Year dates. So they've effectively said that people are not going to be allowed to go to a different province during the Khmer New Year holidays. This is massive news for Cambodia, as of course being the biggest kind of holiday break in the year, it's the time when families like to get together and spend time with each other. But it looks like that will now not be possible. As you're probably aware, Phnom Penh has been under curfew for a couple of days now. Actually from the 1st of April, I think it lasted from the 1st until the 14th. And that curfew meant that people couldn't leave their houses between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. Each day. There were exceptions to that, so people that were working, or essential workers, health workers, things like that, they were allowed to carry on as normal. But for the majority of people, it meant that they had to be in their homes by 8 p.m. at night and not leave again until 5 a.m. the next day. There's been an announcement that if things don't improve with the numbers of COVID patients being tested positive, then that curfew will be extended beyond the 14 days. And I can see that it will be extended at least to match the days of the interprovincial travel ban, which is the 20th of April. So it makes sense to have them kind of going along and finishing on the same day. In addition to Phnom Penh, Kampong Cham has also brought into place the curfew, so they're under the same 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. ban that exists in the capital. They've got 2 weeks, and I think theirs started yesterday or today. So theirs will also encompass the Khmer New Year dates. I've just read that the travel between provinces ban is actually going to be in effect from midnight tonight. So from the stroke of midnight, there will be no travel allowed between provinces in Cambodia for 2 weeks. It's going to be interesting to see how people react to the interprovincial travel ban, whether they're supportive of it or whether they kind of rail against it. It's also including closure of all tourism sites across the country. And some people have asked whether that does include the Angkor Archaeological Park, and I've seen a few people saying that yes, it does. I don't know whether they're basing that on fact or whether it's just speculation. I guess it counts as a tourist site, and if it's closed, then it's one less reason for people to try and travel to places like Siem Reap. Reports are coming through of people dying of COVID in Cambodia, and the number of deaths is currently sitting at 22. On the other hand, police are taking the lockdown in Phnom Penh, or the curfew I should say, very, very seriously, and I think they have arrested about 155 people who they've caught out and about on the city streets after 8 p.m. and before 5 a.m. And they've impounded all of their motorcycles and cars, and it's good to see that it's actually being enforced. I have to mention an article that I've just seen in the Khmer Times. Its title is 3 Men Sent to Court Over a Violation of COVID-19 Measure. And it says, Phnom Penh police have sent 3 men to the Phnom Penh Municipal Court today for questioning after they were caught violating the COVID-19 measures by gathering to have a drink party. According to the police report, on the 4th of April at 5:30 p.m, Sen Sok District's Kok Klang Commune Police arrested 3 men for gathering, having a drink party, and singing a karaoke in front of their rented room. Goes on to identify the men. Suffice to say that one is 37, one is 30, and one is 70. And apparently 2 others of that drink party remain at large. Police said local authorities have urged them several times to follow COVID-19 measures, but they refused to do so. Those of you that have been to Phnom Penh might be aware of Orasay Market. It's one of the very big markets in the capital, not to be confused with the Russian market though. This one's further north near the Olympic Stadium. So Orasay Market has had an outbreak of COVID and it's been forced to shut down completely for 14 days. I think they had 12 cases and then a further 20 in the days following. But that's a big cluster, and it's significant because so many people come and go from markets like that, and it's in such close quarters as well. Unfortunately, on the 5th of April, there was a case of COVID lodged in Ratanakiri, which is one of Cambodia's most far-flung provinces. It's up there, kind of wedged in between the border of Vietnam and Laos. And I guess if there's a case in a region as remote as that, and there's no air travel, then it makes you think that perhaps the person who was infected has travelled and infected other people on their journey to reach that province. Of course, the further you go away from the larger metropolitan areas in Cambodia, the less information there is, the less kind of connectivity there is with things like TV and radio and internet. So you really have to hope that those people are well equipped for what's coming, and hopefully it can be contained really quickly, as those people are probably some of the most vulnerable in the entire country. Another thing I noticed in the news that you might not be aware of if you're not living in Cambodia is that when there's a big public holiday or a big kind of national celebration, they often look at the people that are in jail and consider pardons for people that have been behaving well or that have kind of extenuating circumstances that are considered to be things that warrant a reduction in a sentence. So that's coming up, and I think there's about 542 inmates that are up for consideration to be released early or have their sentences reduced for the Khmer New Year. So positive things there. I have been noticing in the news some articles about swine flu and bird flu surfacing. I don't really know too much about that, so I can't really speak about it with any authority, but it's something I'll look into for future news updates to see if I can find out some more about those things. And to finish up, we have to talk about a bit of a strange case that I came across in Khmer Times, and it carries the title of 14 charged for kidnapping 2 Chinese for ransom. So what has happened here? 7 Chinese and 7 Vietnamese nationals were charged in the Phnom Penh Municipal Court yesterday for impersonating doctors and kidnapping 2 Chinese nationals for a ransom of $30,000 each. So I think they told them that they were there to take them away for COVID testing, and that was a ruse for the kidnapping, and then the subsequent demand for the ransom of 30 grand each. The 7 Chinese, including 2 women, and 7 Vietnamese face 2 charges each, which are detention and unlawful confinement with aggravating circumstances, that's charge 1, and charge 2, living illegally in Cambodia. under such and such article. If convicted, they face a jail term of between 15 and 30 years each. What a strange case, though. Apparently, the suspects' main targets were foreigners in Phnom Penh, and the suspects dressed in doctors' uniforms went in 2 cars and approached 2 Chinese nationals staying at a hotel under the pretext of having to take COVID-19 swab sample. The accused then bundled them into their cars and took them to Skyline Hotel near the Olympic Stadium and locked them in a room, following which they demanded a ransom of $30,000 from each of them for their release. And one of the victims' family actually paid the $30,000, so it's a wonderful thing that they were caught. Just terrible to think that people are exploiting COVID-19 in such a strange and horrible way. Terrible. Anyhow, that's about a wrap for the news for today. Things are going well in Kampot, and yeah, it's really good to be here. We're really hoping to see you all when we have our live stream on the 11th of April. It's the Sunday, I think. We're not sure what time, but we'll certainly let you know, so keep an eye out for details of that, and we look forward to seeing you then. Bye.